This is a fight between Duke Uther, who has set the throne in the West, I believe 8 or 9 times, could be 10, I'm not quite sure. But it's very apparent that he has, over the past 30 years, developed a skill to get the job done. And so when it is announced that someone has to fight Duke Uther, the crowd adds to his demoralization by giving a resounding ooh, like, oh, he fights so well, he is going to beat you. And usually at that point in time, um, people have already put in their mind that they're going to lose the fight. So preparation seems to go outside of the window. Um, when you are getting ready to face someone such as Duke Uther, the first thing you have to do is one, realize the person that you are standing in front of. And that is what a lot of fighters don't do. They don't realize the person that they're standing in front of, and it becomes fresh and new, and they're just like fighting around the block. But when someone, Liam has only been fighting for about 3 and a half years, and he's getting ready to fight someone who's been fighting for 30 years. So his main goal should be to uh prepare himself. The first thing that he is going to should realize is the advantages that Duke Uther has. He is 6'5". He probably weighs about 230, 240. After going to the gym to get ready for Battle of Nations, he could have dropped down to 225, but he is a solid 200-pound fighter. And he has extremely fast hands. And the one thing that Liam should realize is in the 30 years that Duke Uther has been fighting in the SCA, he has probably blocked more shots than Liam has ever thrown in his whole fighting career. And you need to realize that, because with that comes the experience, meaning he knows his ability to stay defensive is a little bit more apparent. If someone who hasn't fought in a while, it takes a while to rev up to the defense that they're going to use against you in the fight. But with Duke Uther, he has probably um, uh, uh, a attack group for the really devastating fighters, probably a B attack group to handle, you know, a little bit above mid range, and probably C to deal with people in mid range. Not saying that he has specific planned shots or anything, but um, with his experience as a fighter, it's very hard to rattle him. So it will only be in the actual fight that you will affect his ability to attack you, i.e., meaning if he does a pass on you and you are completely defensive and able to handle yourself, that means that he will take a step back and go, I guess I need to go to the B level. And not B level, but I just need to kick it up a notch. And then if you're able to defend against that, then he may step back and go, okay, this is way too much and it's time to kill that dude. And then he'll come in on you super fast and, blow you away with that. But anyway, what I wanted to say is um, that Liam's job is to handle the advantages that Duke Uther has. So in that process, he should be a little bit more defensive. I would not suggest that he be the aggressor in any passes, because shots that he will be comfortable with, he has no complete understanding of his defense, so he doesn't. uh, realize what is going to come open when he swings a specific thing because the body has dis, um, uh, a very decisive pattern of attack defense, i.e., some people automatically dip their shield an inch or two when they throw a flat snap just because that's how they've been practicing on the Pell, and they have not been practicing keeping their defensive utensils in a stable position, meaning that the most defensive position that you only would have to move it an inch or two to defend yourself. So that is what Liam really should be working on, and wait for Uther to make a mistake, i.e., in that defensive position. It gives him a chance to view the attack progression of Duke Uther, so that will give him information on, oh, when he throws over here, he dips just a little bit as he's contacting, and i.e. that will allow you to work on your timing as well. So I stand in front of him in completely defensive position, and I know that when he tries to throw a flat snap to my onside head or a wrap or whatever, is that his shield will dip an inch or two. So your objective is to do timing, is to stay in your defensive position until his shot reaches contact, and that you know that you're safe, i.e., when the sword is in motion and already contacting you, that's the time that you should make a move to do your attack because it completely defends you because the instrument is already in motion. So what I would do is probably accept that blow and then fire immediately after it touches to try to hit one of his defensive positions. Now, first of all, I'm going to be very honest with you. Um, this is a philosophy. Um, this is not something that will allow you to win all of your fights, but what it does is allows you to become more competitive in that fight instead of just being demoralized before the fight actually takes place. So what we have here is Liam and Duke Uther circling each other, getting ready to start their fight. So we take a look at that, and they close in, and Liam immediately goes into a defensive position, the correct defensive position, i.e., with the shield leg forward and the sword leg back. Because with someone of Uther's caliber, you don't want to give him easy access to things that he can hit just by speed shooting you, and you will not even know he's throwing a shot until he's halfway to you, and then moving your device from that position to protect the leg will be virtually impossible. So he gets in a defensive position and he slowly closes in on Duke Uther. Duke Uther then um, decides to get the game going, the fight going, i.e., he throws a tester shot. And the tester shot is does two things. It allows you to grab information on what your opponent is going to possibly do when you swing your sword, what position he's going to block in, what is his natural state of position. And what we have here is that uh, Liam commits his first mistake because Duke Uther's shot is literally going to come right here. Now, I know the reason why Liam tilted his sword and moved because the edge of the shield is right there, and he didn't want that shot just to come and hit him on the head so easily. But instead of twisting and bending that sword to block, what he should have done is pushed. Oh, let me uh, pushed this shield and this sword together, i.e., just with his hands, so that you're not moving the instruments out of the way. You're closing off that gap, but you're giving him the least amount of information as possible because uh, leveling your sword and just pushing it out are two different things. This is commitment, and pushing the sword is just a defensive position. And that is what Liam should have done so that it gives him a little information as possible. Um, and then Uther would, realize that, okay, my tester shot didn't give me the information that I wanted. So maybe I have to do it again, or maybe it gave you the information that you thought you wanted. Um, but I guarantee you, with that move, you're going to keep him in place because he is not a guesser when it fights. It's somebody that moves deliberately. So if you don't give him a deliberate um, target to move towards, he will not move towards that. So you get the first little tester shot. Liam levels his sword, blocks it, and then takes a step back. And then they kind of do a little mini reset and then close in again for some aggression. So then Liam pops back into the defensive position in a what I would consider the perfect defensive position if you're left-handed and fighting against a righty. You should have your shield leg forward and your sword leg back. What I don't like, and like people like to do this for some reason, they like to lead with their sword leg forward and their shield leg back, but it doesn't offer any extra um, angles or targeting advantage uh, or anything. But what it does do for your opponent, it gives them quick target accesses that they don't have to work very hard towards, because you're offering that leg up. Because when you step forward and you get ready to throw a onside head snap, the natural progression of the body is to rotate towards your shield, um, as rotate your shield out of the way, I'm sorry, as you're throwing that shot. Now, granted, it might be only an inch or two, but that inch or two from there to here creates a wide opening that someone can shoot the gap to leg you. It doesn't mean you're dead, but I don't want to fight somebody 6'5" from my knees, because that just is too much of an advantage. So Liam goes back into the defensive position and receives another blow from Uther. Uh, I don't know if he actually receives the blow. but I think it's at the same time he's trying to do something. Once again, a little bit too early to be doing that. You should take at least 30 seconds to a minute to be in front of your opponent to catalogs the things that he does. But they step in. Um, and Liam stays in a good defensive position. Uther does another tester shot. This time, Liam does the right thing. He keeps his sword in the up position, and he keeps his shield. Um, he keeps his shield in the defensive position, and just through a little bit of movement is able to block that shot from Uther. So that gives Uther a little bit less information, and it doesn't scare him. It's going to be very hard to scare Duke Uther. He's had so many successes um, that uh, that may not even enter into his head to be afraid. Um, Maybe if he was fighting someone else of a quote unquote legendary status, such as himself, that may enter a little fear, but I really don't think so. Uh, his way of fighting is so pure that I don't think he feels threatened by anybody at this point in time. At least no one at this point in time has threatened him to the point where he needs to, totally go 100% defensive to even stay alive. That's just not possible. But he does a little tester shot on Liam. Liam leaves his weapon in position and backs out. Um, then after that tester shot, uh, l- I don't know um, what movement finally made him decide to get a little bit more um, aggressive. I don't know what it was at that time, uh, but I would not have started with a cross shot such as this. Um, that is a complete and utter commitment, and may allow Uther to uh, Molinet over the top and hit this angle of the head after he blocks that, because he blocks that stick up, and then all he has to do is drop that tip over the top of that as Liam is trying to block, because Liam's natural progression of block is not about hang blocking. It's about just kind of pulling back linear to block. So he does that. Um, Once again, let me show you uh, that. So he goes to the side of the head. Of course, when you go offside like that, the natural progression is to come back to the onside of the head, which he does. And that is the all um, Uther needed for the message sent to his targeting computer, is that once Liam's sword has tapped to the other side of the head, through a probability, his next shot is going to come around this side, which, with somebody who's been fighting for a long time, uh, that actually gives them, quote unquote, a little bit of a break, because he knows where it's going, so kind of precognitive. He knows where the shot's going, and he is doing the exact thing that I thought he would do. Stick block that, no, due to timing, knowing that Liam has to go to the other side of the head because that is the natural progression of any type of offensive capability when you attack on the offside head. Um, if Liam was going to double tap on the same side, uh, the problem is Liam would not have adjusted his body. When you double tap in the same time at the same place, you leave your body in the same position, but you just leverage your arm and then snap it back in. So you don't see a complete body movement. But what Uther gets from just this little thing peeking over the shield, that's enough to let him know that Liam is committed to going to the other side because he does a complete and utter body shift to go to the other side, which then frees Uther to do the leverage shot that's going to just hit him in the side of the head. And he hits Liam in the side of the head and immediately goes to the defensive position and um, and of course, Liam dies. And that is all just from the tester shot that he did at the very beginning of uh, the thing. That said, "Oh, this guy is nervous. Anything that I throw, he is going to be actively trying to block it instead of receiving the blows that come in." Which, with somebody with Duke Uther's skill level, that gives him a sense of comfortableness. And that's the one thing you don't want uh, him to be in at any point in time while this fight's going on, because being comfortable for him is death for you. I want him actively switching, altering, finagling, having to reach into his creativity and other things like that to keep him off balance. Those are the things as a lesser fighter than Duke Uther. And when I mean lesser fighter, I don't mean that he fights better than you. He just has so much more experience uh, than you, that if you are not keeping him guessing and completely out of his normal targeting uh, uh, computer, then your percentages of winning start falling down because he starts getting comfortable. He doesn't have to make any creative movements. He just has to, wait for you to make that horrible mistake. And in this, um, uh, I am not harping on what Liam should have done. I'm harping on the alternative, so that uh, if he looks at this videotape, he will completely kind of understand what I'm talking about. As if he wouldn't have been aggressive to jump in on Uther at that time, Uther would have done two or three more tester shots to try to get him to react. And what I wanted from Liam is not to be baited into reaction. Um, in um, martial arts, there's a philosophy um, that the person that is attacking is destined for failure, uh, and that is due to being out of harmony. Defense is harmony. Um, and the second you become aggressive, you fall out of harmony, which means you break that circle and then you do an attack. And in that break of the circle, it's supposed to allow the person being attacked to just fall into the natural progression of things and best that person due to them falling out of harmony and being at odds with themselves. Um, and that is exactly what Uther did right there with that tester shot. Uh, Liam, I don't know what's in his brain because I'm not a telepath, but just looking at the body reaction of Liam, uh, those two tester shots uh, literally kind of frightened Liam. He was like, "Hey, I made it to the finals of Crown, and I don't want to be bested without ever having to throw a shot." And that is a lot of the things that people worry about. If I just don't throw anything and just stand there, he just beats you to a pulp. That's actually not true. Um, the more defensive you are, the more information you can get from that opponent, and the more you can try to strategize to defeat that opponent. Um, I'm going to give an example of that, and I pause this because I guess I'm very wordy and I don't mean to be, but I'm going to pause it for a second. Um, if I'm beginning a fight and that guy is standing over there, and before they called lay on, we bow to each other and everything like that. And then when they say lay on, I go from a relaxed position and I look at my opponent and I don't get into a ready position until I get within range of that opponent, i.e., I'm becoming aggressive to that opponent. And he can see that because I'm in a comfortable position when I'm 10 feet away from him. And when I get to be about 5 feet away from him, I finally come up into my defense position, i.e., he knows from the information that I gave him that I am now in the attack range of him and or myself because I've moved into that defensive position. So I've given him some information, and and he can then take with it and do what he wants with it. But I've given him that information. Now, if I wanted to play mind games with that person, i.e., try to get them to move the way I want them to, I would throw what I consider tester shots from a safe position. I'm not going to try to cross shoot his offside head leg because that's obviously going to put me in a position that leaves my shield completely open and leaves my head and body completely open, and then allows him an easier kill. So what I want to do is a tester shot from my defensive position, and i.e. use the smallest movement possible just to see how he is going to respond to that. But anyway, I say that because when he, uh, when Liam moved and took that step just to finish that windshield wiper shot, he did not realize that he was dead prior to moving into that position. I.e., he didn't, he threw a shot, he recovered and started in another shot halfway through it. So his mind is about the aggression part of that. So he didn't realize, oh, I'm dead. I'm a dead man walking because I'm throwing the offside head, but I'm not raising my shield to protect my head. Just because that's the natural progression. If he would have just raised his shield up as he threw that shot, um, knowing that when you throw that shot, everybody's natural targeting is going to have the shot coming from your shield shot side of some way, of some place, because you're taking that step and moving around to their sword side. So the most advantageous place for them to attack you would be on the shield side. And we know that since he's left-handed, that Uther is not going to throw a leg shot at that point in time because that would open him up way too much. So we know that it's a shot that has to go from the waist up. And from there, you should automatically know that the um, uh, the return shot that your opponent is going to throw has to come for your head because that's the only place that's open on you with the least amount of leaving yourself open for that. So you know Uther is not going to throw that leg shot because come on, that's just opening him up for a big wrap to the back of the head or the body or something like that. So uh, one, with the experience of fighting cause and effect, you know that if I throw to the offside head, s- the m- the effect of that is that I have to then switch to the offside head or offside part of the body because that's the natural progression of that. Because you see the body start to move in that direction. If I were going to stay on the exact same side that I struck, I would move in a more lateral position back towards my right hand rather than out towards my left. So I double tap on that side, and you can see that the body is not peening over to do that. But anyway, uh, Liam throws a just a standard windshield wiper shot, and what you should realize from just that plain and natural shot that Uther has the ability to target you and kill you from that. But anyway, so I'm going to just keep playing it forward and let him kill Liam and then reset. So that was really fast for Liam and quote unquote a little bit demoralizes him. And now I don't know what he's doing, but he should be more in his head than ever and make Duke Uther move above and beyond what he would normally move. But I'm not quite sure Liam understands who he's standing in front of uh, due to the fact that he adopts this defensive position, which means that he didn't learn anything from the first pass. Uh, okay, okay, that's when he switches into the off. So then it becomes I don't know what he's going for there. Is feeling that he has enough speed and dexterity to block that lower portion of his body or I don't know if he has got to this level yet, or he's purposefully baiting Uther, wanting him to throw that leg shot because then he will throw either an offside leg shot or some form of wrap to the side of the head. But I'm not sure. mm, I'm not quite sure that Duke Uther is going to fall for an opening. I'm not quite sure. I watched this like 10 times, but I don't have it memorized. So let's see what Duke Uther's response is to this new uh, defensive position. Um, One thing I will say is that Liam has allowed Duke Uther to really get in his head by switching his defensive position completely, not even just a half step here or whatever. He is completely switched into a different defensive position, trying to give Uther a different look on his targeting. But I'm not quite sure if that is going to be useful. But let's see where what Duke Uther will do with this new defensive position. Okay, so he adopts, oh, and I'm gonna talk about this because it's very important. He adopts this new defensive position with his sword leg forward. Um, Uther sees it. They do a little pass. He steps back. Uther sees it, and then Uther does a complete commit to that leg, i.e., I would step forward. I'm going to plane my shield to block any uh, uh, shot that you're going to throw. And my main objective is to destroy that leg. And he throws a shot into it. Um, I'm not quite sure what happened there. Uther commits and he goes in. And I think Liam is jumping up at that time, so it may take something off of that. But the problem with that sword leg forward, it doesn't give you the offensiveness that you think. Um, I'm going to give you a different scenario. I'm not going to say this works or not, but if he was standing shield leg forward and sword leg back, okay, first of all, if he was standing that way, Duke Uther wouldn't have gone to this position. This position was only because he presented that leg um, for Uther to hit. So he probably wouldn't get it. But the thing that you can do is learn transitional defensive. So instead of switching to that sword leg forward defense, his next objective is to tweak his defense just a little bit. So he would start in the traditional with the sword leg back and the shield leg forward. But what he would do is he would flick towards Uther's head, which Uther would bring the shield up, and then he would transitional step. Uther would be, let me change this a little bit so you can see where Uther should be. Uther should be here and here. And what I mean by that is if he would have done a transition, he would have, as you are flicking with the sword to the offside head, you are stepping forward, not out, but you're kind of crescent stepping in with your transitional leg. And then you are trying to place that on the outside of your opponent because that will then allow you to be able to throw some form of wrap around this area. Um, Once again, you would stand in traditional position with the shield leg forward and sword leg back, flick to the head, flick. Your objective is not to kill, it's to move. And so you flick to the head, which would cause Uther to raise his shield and possibly blind him. Not necessarily have to. You would flick to the head. You could then lay your shield and step around and possibly get a wrap on him. Um, to get that done. But anyway, Uther uh, goes into that position because he's offered the leg, and you can see that um, once Liam switches into that position, it's pretty much game over because Uther is going to own that leg. And as you see, it really didn't take Uther that long just to go, "Oh, you're going to give me that leg? Why, thank you, sir." you know, because I want to really reiterate that. So Liam is standing with his sword leg forward, and what do you get out of that? It doesn't, you know. I'm going back and forward to show you he doesn't get on the outside of Uther. He falls right into the middle. He literally steps there. So I'm not seeing what, you know, he literally steps in that position and Uther does a transition step just to get around the edge of his shield and then wraps him in the leg literally with no sweat whatsoever. Because even if Liam was going to block, I don't know Liam's natural movement. I don't know why he's tabling his shield into his midsection instead of reaching down to protect that leg. I have no earthly idea why he does that. Um, Not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that you can't really see what you're doing in a fight until you step outside of it and you go, "Oh, why did I do that?" So, what this tells me is that he's no longer in a strategy portion of the fight. That he's just swinging just to be in a fight right now because either he's afraid of Uther and just wants to get it done, or I can't, uh, c- or I don't know. I You can't overpower Duke Uther because of his level of skill, but I think he is using some of the information that he has gathered from fighting Uther in practice. And I need to reiterate this. Anytime you're fighting someone of Duke Uther's skill level, what you see in a practice is definitely not what you're going to see in a tournament. In a practice, it's him just jacking around and maybe trying to get you with stick, maybe not. He's not using the things that have been successful for him, which is what you should realize in a fight that 99.9% of the time, people only use shots that have been successful for them. They rarely will come out and just be totally 100% creative the whole fight because with that creativity, it puts them in positions that they're not quite sure where their defense uh, lies, and so therefore you can't be consistent on winning when you don't know if your shield's going to actually defend you or not because you're jumping in the air and closing your eyes and doing some weird creative thing. Um, but there does come a time that creativity can creep in, but usually that usually happens. Most fights last about 30 to 45 seconds, which is weird because we're not doing anything, you know, exorbitant in that fight. We're not all of a sudden becoming flash and you can't see the shot. We're just able to put you in a position that allows you not to be able to be accessible to block our next shot. But anyway, what I mean by here is Uther literally has gotten all the information that he needs from Liam. Once he's decided to take that leg, it's pretty much game over on that leg because it's just being offered. So Uther takes the leg. Liam goes down into a position. He still trying to be aggressive. And I don't know what the reasoning to be all aggressive for at that point in time, um, because Uther is not closing in on Liam when he's on his knees. Until the end, he'll close in, and you'll see he'll close in and he'll do that body shot and actually kill Liam with that. But you will see how he does that. Um, he's still doing tester shots to try to get him more committed. Um, Liam is keeping it tight, which is what he should. Um, um, Uther has basically told him, "What I'm going to do is step around and hit you in the body." So you should always kind of be prepared for that a little bit, because that is what Uther has stated he's going to do. And that's what he does with the body shot there. But anyway, that is the fight between Sir Liam, and Duke Uther, and my take on it. Thank you.